way in which those that are not coming in through Blackboard, they can come in through Zoom and actually do the connection. Sometimes the connection is going to be delayed, right? Because it's going to hop from the Zoom server where we're located to the YouTube server. So there'll be a delay from what we see on Zoom to what we see on YouTube. So all of you need to make a YouTube channel using your personal Gmail account. Let's see if that's working, and it looks like it's working great. So we have that going. Content. Okay, and do I have volunteers to moderate the chat session today? Any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Great. So any other ones? Any other person? We have two. Okay. So Amelie, can you be so kind and also moderate the chat as well?
Yep, no problem.
Okay, perfect. So we have at least two people to do it. And my purpose today is to clarify how we're going to be operating in this course, what we'll be doing, and making sure that everybody's in groups. Is there anyone in these here that haven't been here before? Raise your hand or put it in the chat if you haven't been here before. Otherwise, let me go through. So let me share my screen. And you can see when I'm sharing my screen, you can see that we're right here. And everybody's looking good. Everybody has their picture on right here. And now I can share, this is our regular session, our J session that we have here. And the idea is, if we look at that, Amelie, what is your role in this section?
In training?
Yeah, but your role in this.
Or you mean like as a user? So
as a user, you're basically
student.
as what? You're a student. Even though you're in training here as user. The one thing I do want to do, you remind me, let me just stop sharing, is that I want you to be able to, if I think about this, is I want if I make you, for instance, Anders, if I make you a co-host, and
Yeah.
and Amelie, I make you a co-host. What can you do as a co-host in Zoom? Because your role in the beginning was a participant in the Zoom class. Now I've made you co-host, and put this in your notes, everybody. Co-host in Zoom, you have to know what role does a co-host have compared to a regular participant? What can a co-host do that a regular participant can't do? What do you think, Anders?
I have access to some host tools, like I can make breakout rooms, I can pause the
you can make
recording.
so basically you're promoted that you can basically be in a supervisor role in Zoom. So that's one of the things that I want you to do. So when we go into breakout rooms, I'll have Anders and Amelie, right? You can now, I've promoted you for this session. And each time that you go through it, will it work? Okay, so we have that part. So in this case, if I share my screen and I go into our regular section, you see that we had a regular section of announcement, Zoom meeting, what's due. This is our regular section where I am the instructor. I have one teaching assistant, and everyone else is listed as a user, as a student. Even in the users and the roles, you don't even have access to see. Remember, you don't even have access to see that. And you could see that we had assignments due always when you want to do it is what's due section of what was due for week 1, and week 2 was the assignments. That if we looked at the assignments of what due was basically thinking about communication and what I call collaborative tools. The purpose of this assignment is to be able to work in groups and also to record and document your work. So this is assignment 2 that's due for next Wednesday. Monday, we're off. And then the next thing that was confusing for everyone is that we had that assignment instructions. Everybody looked at that underneath and notice to the left, this is a folder. So in terms of the folder to the assignments, if you click down in the assignments, you'll see the assignments, the exact instructions then to these assignments for part 1 and part 2. The difference for part 1 and part 2 is part 1 is individual. When you're doing the individual, that you'll be creating your own YouTube channel and being able to stream to YouTube and basically looking at Zoom. When you look at Zoom, and let me just do this for a second. If I go to zoom.miami.edu, that is a version of Zoom that the university has purchased. The university has a signed agreement with Zoom that gives them more capabilities than the free version. In their version now, there's a number of people that can sign up for participants. If you look at it, everybody has meetings, webinars. You need special permission to get webinars. They have a certain number of seats that they can do webinars. Now you can see even, I think Zoom, even in the elections now, Zoom is carrying up to, I heard, can you imagine 1 million people they can carry on a server at a time? So they have it. So check to see how many people you can have on Zoom meetings. You can see the personal contacts. And what's going to be important for everyone to look at is everybody has access by being.edu community. You have access to zoom.miami.edu. You should look at the settings. The settings, some roles, for instance, are set by the university, by the administrators that I'm not able to set all the features. So for instance, you remember before I really wanted to do AI companion. And in the beginning, they had that open. Zoom does not charge them anymore. But in this case, the university was reluctant to use the AI. Make sure that you look through the general, what's in recordings, that you're familiar with, audio conferencing, that you can do the notes, you can look at docs, look at the clips. Basically, what I want you to do is be familiar with the features of Zoom. Now, when you look at your assignment, then you can see your 2 assignments here. Also, you can see that we talked about the adaptive. We talked about Wiley Plus. I made that available for all the chapters. So when I click on Wiley Plus, you can have all the resources. Notice this is my version. The instructor resources is different from yours, but you should be able to do the practice as well. So if you want additional questions, you can do the practice along with the course materials that we've talked about before. And under the adaptive, you can see here chapter 1 and chapter 2. You can see that there's folders here in chapter Tech Guide 1. For instance, chapter 1 under information and systems, I have the instructor version. I see that completed here is 36 students, there's still 6 students that haven't started. They've signed up, but they haven't started. If I look at the due date is by 11:59 p.m. So if you haven't started, you need to complete. I see that as well, that you have here in the adaptive assignment. And then on the Wiley quizzes that we talked about before is you have then the quizzes that you can take it twice. Any questions? Amelie, are there any questions in the chat that I need to deal with?
Nope, we're all good.
Perfect. So what was not clear last time, I think that people had, that was not clear here, is that I had the assignment instructions here. I have the assignment instructions here where I have it right here. So all the assignments, the instructions will be here. Now, the difference here is when I go back, then I can then go to the audit area. And in the audit area, you see here, I have the groups. Everybody has teaching assistant rights. So if I now go to users and students, I can see users. I can see that everyone is listed here as a teaching assistant or above. You have access to see this. And notice, since you're a teaching assistant, you see myself as the instructor. The only difference between myself as an instructor and you as teaching assistants, the only difference is that you cannot delete me. So even if you would like to, you cannot delete me. I could delete you, but I'm not in no means wanting to delete you. I want to encourage you to be active. But you see here, you, if we had another student coming in, you in this case could then enroll other students. You have that capabilities. You first could enroll them as a student, and then you could upgrade them to as a teaching assistant. And then if I go to groups, I see here is groups here. You can see the groups here. I can see that I have from 0, I have 0A where I have my TA trainees, where I have Andres and Amelie have volunteered to be our TAs in training, and they'll be showing us some things. The group 1, group 2, we have here group 3, 4, 5. Everybody is set up with
Excuse me, sir.
here
What time?
in basically 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we see in group 9, there's 3 students. Any questions on that? So we have it. And you always have then in group 0, after you have a folder, you should have within your folder, you should have another folder. You could even make that now. One person in your group, make a folder within it that says Zoom individual assignment. This should be a folder, right? So when you build content, you should have it under content folder. Under content folder, when I go into Zoom individual assignment, then you should have, this is a sample done by Daniel Flores. One of the things that I want to stress to you when you look at it, when I look at this, MP4 then means that this was recorded on the computer. So MP4 is recorded on the computer. YouTube was recorded on the live streaming. If you have for the link in recording to the cloud, you'll have a Zoom link itself that you'll see here. And then basically, when I want you to do the sample individual assignment, is make sure that you do it as an item. When I do an item, what is interesting here is I can do the group name, and why I like an item rather than a file is here you can put your comments. You can make sure that if it's in the group, you can make sure that everybody's name is who attended in this group meeting. You can bring in all your important points, put that in the file. If you need to, if it's of interest, you can attach from browsing from the local or from notice. You can even do from a cloud service. Notice that you want to permit users to view this content. Notice when I was the instructor in our regular class, right, until I wanted you to use it, I could restrict it. Even though everybody's a teaching assistant, basically we still can see each other's work. No one is a student in our class. So this isn't as important, but by default, I want you to keep this yes. Track number of views. This is kind of interesting that you can see if other people have looked at your work. You can select dates and times and you can then do a submit. So I want to make sure that you realize that when you're submitting this, that it be submitted as an item. Make sure that on your file name that you have a date, because guess what? Later on, we have something called, let me put this in my notes, agile development. And when I talk about agile development, it's basically going by modules, small tasks, iterative, and constant improvement. So what's nice is we hope that we will be having it done really well. My assignment, what sometimes I'll have you do is that we'll look at assignments, and if you have it dated, it may be the next time I say, add this to your assignment. So I don't want you to delete any work that you've submitted, but what you can do is submit via the date and time. We know that this is your second version or your improved version or your different version in what you're doing. And then we know that when I think about it in the group assignment, I want to make sure that everybody, team's member was there and everybody participated in the Zoom individual assignments. I want your Zoom your Zoom group assignments is also taking on different roles. So for instance, some people may be hosts, some people may be promoted to co-hosts, some people may be putting on different, projecting polls or surveys. Other people will be taking those surveys, see what the differences are. The polls, see if you can save polls. Can you reuse your polls? See how the comments are done. Can you do it anonymously? Can you put in your names? See how you can interact. So in your group assignment, you want to think carefully, and then you want to record it as if it's a full tutorial. If you have issues, I want you to record the issues. These group assignment should be sharing most of the time your screen, because just talking heads is not enough. You want to share your screen, exactly what your screen is, to be able that someone else can learn from you. So this should be in the Zoom assignment, and we can see here. Now, if I go back, already here in the groups, then notice in the group, if I go to group 0, right? All of a sudden I see group 6. Is that in the proper? Who do we have here? Emily, are you here?
Me.
Yeah.
Is that in the right order?
Yeah.
Is this in the right thing? Should group 6 be under group 0? No, right? Group 6, right? Are you in group 6 here? Why is it 2 places here?
I accidentally made it under the group
Okay, so what can we
0
do?
folder.
Can you delete it?
I wasn't sure how.
Right? So if we went in, right, could I delete your work? Yes or no, Emily?
Yeah.
Could anybody delete your work here in our group? In our sessions, yes. But how would you delete it, right? If I go here, right? Is there a delete? Yes, I'll let you do it. Right? So you want, and also when Emily did it, I expect everybody in your group, it's like we rehearsed it, Emily. Like I wanted you to make a mistake, right? So we can to have something to talk about. So in that case, Emily will delete it, but everybody in her group should be looking at what's done and either basically delete it themselves or not. So we will be able to see that. So of course you'll be deleting that, right, Emily? That we'll be doing it.
Yeah.
So this is what I have. If I go into group 0A, right? So I have 0A, I have two parts. I need the individual, they need to have a folder, so they could put a folder there too. Why don't you do that now? Group 0A, they need to have a folder of what? Individual assignments, just like the other one. And then they have group 0A Zoom, they have their team members, right? That they have. They have a recording that they did in MP4, and they showcase co-host per promotion, breakout rooms, polls and quizzes, screen share, remote control, chat features. And you may even want to learn about other things that you have about, I would even add maybe in here, Zoom host features allows the host and co-host, they do it. I would also issues none. We didn't go over live streaming the file. We were over it in this. We went over it in this one. So they basically told about the live streaming. So why didn't you do that was via the YouTube live streaming? Did you live stream when you were doing Zoom at all? This live streaming in here was done how?
It was
Yeah,
done via
when we
Zoom.
did the
Yeah.
recording. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when we did the
Anders?
recording yesterday, my like
Okay,
YouTube live stream
so
wasn't
do
gonna
it
count out
via
yet.
Zoom. So do another recording via Zoom to make sure that you can do the YouTube live with the Zoom. So even if it breaks down into parts, don't worry about it, just describe it. So it's excellent. Everybody understand? So they didn't do it. We want to see in a Zoom, that's the idea, to sit into Zoom, have my Zoom people, right? And then go out to a broader audience and do like YouTube live, or I can do Facebook live, I can do others. We're just doing YouTube. And then I could have a number of subscribers in YouTube, show how you can, I don't have to do it twice. I can then basically just be in my Zoom session, show how you record live.
Also, there were a few questions just to clarify. So the folder within the group that you just want to be labeled as like Zoom individual folder, and then under that individual assignment dash your name.
Let me just show you. Great question. Just like group 0. If I have group 0, I want Zoom individual assignment. That's another folder on its own. And under Zoom individual assignment, each person shows how does a recording on their own.
Perfect, thank you.
And each person tries to get their live Zoom going, their live YouTube going. There's issues, right, Amelie? Not everything works. But so if you're having problems doing YouTube live, you would then put what are the issues, the issues, the challenges of what work. But I want everyone to do it, and even if there are issues, describe what those issues are. Then when you go to after your Zoom, when you go to your group assignment, take one person, decide on one person in your group to use their channel to do it, start doing the recording, and then stream live to YouTube. It'd be interesting too to show the difference that you look at it. What's the difference of recording to the cloud versus recording to the computer? Sometimes you may want to record to your computer. Sometimes you don't want to put it on to Zoom. Sometimes you just want an MP4. And then you can even look. What's interesting is if I go to my Zoom, right? And I can even go to my Blackboard, but if I go to my zoom.miami.edu, right? And then you can see here my polls and quizzes, my attachments. You can see that they have issues here. You can see here that I have my previous, I have attachments, I have my personal room if I wanted. So in this case, Sarah Rushenick has a personal ID room that they can do. I can give this link out to my personal one, meeting templates, my polls and quizzes. If I wanted, I can create my polls and quizzes. And if I go to my Blackboard, right, that if I see my Blackboard and I go to my Zoom meetings and I go to join Zoom meetings, notice in my join meetings, let me move this up. In my join meetings, it says cloud recordings. These are my recordings that I did in my classes. And notice, and even this one, they give me several. This may be interesting to even show. What is the cloud do is that they give me audio. Sometimes I want audio. They give me my transcript, and I can use others with it. It's interesting too. There's like, I don't know if anyone, have you heard of this Anders, Otter.ai? Have you heard about them?
No.
So basically, they're a note taker. So when you're basically doing it, if you don't want it, basically AI Companion is a note taker as well. Otter AI, you may want to look at that and see that you could have every time that you join your meeting, you have Andre's Otter AI also in the meeting. Wouldn't that be neat? They're basically taking notes. Some of these with AIQ and Otter AI will tell you what percent time each person is speaking, summarizing what's happening. So it may be interesting even to look at some of those summarization programs that go along with, again, all the Gen AI, all that AI that I don't need somebody to sit there and take notes, right? Amelie, I wouldn't want you to say, go summarize all my lectures. A waste of your time, isn't it? But wouldn't it be nice to have a summary and say what was covered there, right? Test one, when is test one? What is assignment one? And I would even learn to pick up cues to make sure this is the next topic. This is important. When is test one? Or something like that, that I could learn as a speaker. It would give me like hints. How could I emphasize what it's going to do? Sometimes also what they were saying about some of those summarization is what? When we're speaking, some of it is irrelevant. When I ask you, how was your weekend? You know, what happened? You know, when you join a meeting, right? I don't want it to start talking about personal things. When I ask somebody, you know, what is your major? It's like irrelevant right now. What's important was the topic area. It's almost like that chatting is not as useful. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that in terms of our homework that of this assignment, why that's important to me and to you is it's kind of like our building blocks to do the course. It's in a way in which, hey, I know Zoom, I can almost be my own brand, right, Amelie, that you can think about it. I can start doing webinars, and then later on from that week, you know, it's easy then to do podcasts and other things, right? that you can do, but this is a way in which you can get it. And then I can think about what are summarization tools. So some of you that have already done this assignment may want to look at add-ins like that. What other things can I do with Zoom? And as I told you, Zoom, as a matter of fact, their stock has been rising a bit, and I think because they've been more active on it. So if I see this is what I want then. So if I see in the TA trainings, there'll be another folder, put that now already, of individual assignment. You can add that right away. But they've already made, one thing I like about this group 0A, and I think the other students are appreciative, they can already help you in which they're trying to do the assignments a bit earlier than you folks, so they can give me feedback on what's not clear, right, Amelie? I appreciated all that work of what I thought was so clear, it wasn't. So we're making that more clear that's available. So in all the groups, you can do that already. So I would have even all the groups right now, you could have just one person then put in the Zoom individual assignment and the sample group assignment. Okay, Emily, is there something that you need clarified?
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so that's what I want for next time that you think about it, that all of these groups then, like just even here in my group 1 already, if I look, so in group 1, I'm asking even every group, let's do that right now. Every group then, let's even do that so we know that it exists already. Every group then, make a folder saying Zoom individual assignment. And then it will be then, right now you don't have it, but then there'll be another item for the Zoom group assignment. The Zoom group assignment should also be broadcasting live to YouTube, plus the group assignment. You may even want to have 2 sections, one when you record even just a small portion where it's recorded to the computer versus recorded to the cloud. Okay, so you're able to see that. You can basically just in terms of groups see that already. So if I go to yours, the Zoom individual assignments, and if I want that to be the first, right, there's a couple of ways to do it. I can just lift it up to the side and make that the first. And what's nice here is that anybody can do that, and I as myself can do that individual assignment. Make sure that you document, put your name in the file, and make sure you have the date and time to it. Questions? Anders, anything else I need to cover?
No, I think it's good.
Okay, so everyone should have already that a group 2. So you see here already group 2 has it, that group individual assignment, and then everyone do it. Your group individual assignment, you can do it together, or you can do it 2 at a time or whatever, but each person has to do their own assignment. So if you want some help from somebody, or you feel like, hey, let me work with someone else, you're welcome to do that. But your recordings will be on its own, everything like that. But as I told you before, is I want us to be in a way, let me just stop sharing, is what I wanted everyone to have, is to be able to help one another. We all have different strengths. So when someone's stuck in your group, is help them. It doesn't mean that you're going to do their work for you. And if you offer to help, they still have to do it, but it's an area in which I like it to think about it. It's a collaborative efforts to it. Questions? Okay, so this is due Wednesday. I'm going to end a bit early today. But if you want to, we'll take attendance. If you want to stay with me, you can. All the groups know that you can, I suggest you start as early as possible because things take a long time. But think about your recordings as your polished version. Introduce yourself to your recording. Everybody take an active part. Ask, talk about issues that you found and ways that you overcame them, and have everybody in your group take in different roles. And then explore, field to explore even additional things that Zoom has to offer. Then our next summit after that, we'll look at other screencasting, what I call screencasting or screen recording programs that we can use in our toolbox when we want to record, document, especially when we have issues. We always have issues. How am I going to find the solutions? How am I going to improve? How am I going to get the answers? A lot of times is through documentation. How am I going to teach someone else? I can teach someone else as well. That I can do. Questions? So I'm going to take attendance. I wish you all a safe Labor Day weekend. And then we'll come back on Wednesday and we'll get our, as I say, roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty and look at all the Gen AI. Also, we'll have a couple of student presentations. If you were looking at some new generative AI that you want to share, let me know. Reach out if you're interested in being also taking a role in being teaching assistant in training. Let me know. Any other questions? Anything in the chat that I need to know about?
Nope. All good.
Oh, good. All right. So since get everybody ready for the thing, I'll just basically share my screen, do attendance. Stay with me if you have additional questions. Let me make sure I'm in the right section because only my regular J can I do attendance, right? Once I do the attendance, I'm going to make sure that I start check-in. I start check-in is $21.99. Check-in, and then you're ready to proceed. And then I will see you next week. Be safe, have fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Have a good weekend.
Yes, you too.
Do you need me to stay up for class?
Pardon?
Do you need me to stay up for class for
Yeah,
anything?
let's just stay a minute or so. We'll
I
talk.
had to stay after for the attendance issue from last week.
Okay, so we'll look at, okay, so we need that. Emily, let me just see, as soon as we finish,
Thank you.
I'll look at the attendance, right? Let's look at the list. If I look at the list, let's see what happens here. I think I have to end check-in first. Are you the only one? Let me just end check-in. Okay, recording your attendance data. Let's look at the list. Let's see here. What was the issue? Problem.
Maybe
attendance.
is it one by one?
Yeah, let me just see it. No, I think it's records. It's records. Okay, so Emily, what's your last name?
It's Ellie Vreeland.
Okay. It's with a what?
With a V as in Victor.
Oh, at the end, V as in Victor.
Yeah, it's probably
You
at the
see it?
end. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, so here, and then we'll do present, update. That was easy.
Yeah. Thank you so
Keep up the
much.
good attitude and we'll see each other.
See you
next
next week. Thank
Okay,
you.
looking forward with your group. Take an active role in your group and we'll get by.
Will
Take
do. Have a great weekend.
You too. Okay. So let me stop recording.